How's it going, everyone? This is Boots with Snapkeep Arcade. This week we're going to highlight some tips and tricks for the current standard meta. I reached out to the Spikes subreddit for help compiling this list, so if you're looking to get into the competitive scene, I highly recommend following them on Reddit. Heart of Kiran has some great interactions with Planeswalkers. Not only can the loyalty counters on your Planeswalkers be used to crew Heart of Kiran, but if your Planeswalker is targeted by an Ixalan's Binding, an exiling effect, or a card with lifelink such as Vraska's Contempt, you can repeatedly crew Heart of Kiran to kill your own Planeswalker and blank their spell. There are a few tricks to activate Revolt for Fatal Push. If you have a Beaumont Courier on the field, you can attack, get the trigger for an extra card, use Fatal Push targeting a 3 to 4 converted mana cost creature before activating the Courier's ability and avoiding having to discard the Fatal Push, then use Beaumont's ability to trigger Revolt. I've said this before and I can't stress this enough. Do not use your Fatal Pushes on tokens created by God Pharaoh's Gift or the Scarab God. Those tokens retain their converted mana cost. In a recent update, these tokens show their converted mana cost, so always double check before casting. The Embalm and Eternalize mechanics specifically say that the tokens have a CMC of 0, so they are fine targets for your Fatal Pushes. Beaumont Courier has some great interactions, but one that is frequently overlooked is being able to sack 2 couriers and only discarding one hand. This can be tricky to pull off in Arena, but the trick is to go into full control mode by pressing Control. You activate the first Beaumont's ability, discarding your hand and paying the 1 red mana. Before the ability resolves, you activate the ability on the second courier. Because discarding your hand is part of the cost, the second ability's cost will trigger before you draw the card off the first Beaumont. With both abilities on the stack and both costs paid for, you draw the cards from both couriers. Sometimes the client will kick you out of full control mode, so keep your hand on the control button to put yourself back in if this happens. Beaumont also has some cool interactions with cycling. With the cycle ability on the stack, you can activate the courier's ability, discard your hand, draw the cards from Beaumont, and then draw the card from cycling. Glorybringer's Exert ability only works on non-dragon creatures, but a Glorybringer reanimated by the Scarab God is no longer a dragon, but a zombie. Feel free to exert on opposing Glorybringers reanimated by the Scarab God. Speaking of the Scarab God, if your opponent has one on the field and is targeting a creature in your graveyard, you can blank their ability on the stack by activating Scrap Heap Scrounger and exiling their target. If you have a Scrap Heap in your hand but not on the field, you can use Beaumont Courier or Hazoret to discard it. Or if you have a Scrap Heap on the field, you can use Pia Nalaar to sack it. There are a few ways to flip Search for Azcanta more quickly. Cycle cards like Irrigated Farmland and Cast Out work great, but don't be afraid to cast a Settle the Wreckage on your end step just to get it in the yard. You can also use an Ipnu Rivulet on yourself to get those extra cards in the yard. In Blue-White Control, a flipped Search for Azcanta is one of the most powerful effects, so getting it flipped fast is key to winning. Soulscar Mage is great when used with cards like Goblin Chainwhirler, but one thing many players don't know is that it works great if your opponent has a Winding Constrictor. This means that every time you put a -1/-1 counter on their creature, the Constrictor will add another -1/-1 counter. Another tip if you run Scrap Heap Scroungers or Rekindling Phoenix is to not be afraid to use your own removal on them when facing your opponent's exiling effects. Vraska's Contempt, Cast Out, Seal Away, and Settle the Wreckage are great answers to these cards, but because the recursion is so important against control, it's often the right play to use a Braid or Lightning Strike to kill your own creature. Let me know in the comments if you know of any other useful tips and tricks from this season's meta. And if you like this video, please subscribe to Snapkeep Arcade and hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. This has been Boots with Snapkeep Arcade. Thanks for watching.